Hey everyone, it's Matt from the Pen Habit, and I am happy to be back for another episode. In this video, we're going to do another pen review, this time in a new location. I moved out into the dining room so I could get a better camera angle and hopefully some better light. And we're going to go and talk about the Pilot Metropolitan. So that's today's pen. Pilot Metropolitan has gotten a lot of scuttlebutt in the last several months. It wasn't something I was really familiar with when I first started playing around with fountain pens about 10 months ago, but it is a lot of people are talking about it. So I don't know if it's fairly new to the United States or what, but it's an interesting pen in that it has gotten a lot of press because it's a pretty darn good pen for the value. I think you can get the Pilot Metropolitan for somewhere around $20. This I bought at one of the local stores that carried it, and they come in. I'm gonna go over to the other camera here. They come in a couple of different patterns. So the standard ones came in black, silver, and gold, and all of them have this little band here in the middle of the barrel. And that band has a different design. So they've got a design with polka dots. They've got a design with zigzags, which is what I have, and striped. I can't remember, or plain. I don't remember what the other one is. In any case, the clip is just a pretty standard clip. It's springy, it's very springy. It's not too tight. It is a clip top cap, so you just pop the top off. There's no twisting or screwing and unscrewing. It is a steel nib. In the US, initially, they only came with medium nibs, but now I believe they also come in fine, and they market it overseas as a different name. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but they've been available overseas in both fine and medium. And I should point out, this is a Japanese medium, not a US medium or a European medium. So this is going to be more like a US or European fine. It's a very fine medium point. Now, I'm going to wax slightly philosophical here before I go and do a writing sample and give you the stats on the pen. So this is a cartridge converter pen. And while I'm generally fine with cartridge converter pens, what I am not fine with, and this is just a major, major pet peeve of mine, is companies who insist upon using their own proprietary formats. And Pilot, in my mind, is probably the biggest offender. So here is the Pilot. This is a cartridge that I put in here. I have a cartridge that I used earlier, emptied out earlier, and have filled this with a different ink. So let me show you a couple of examples. So this is the cartridge or the converter that came with the pen, and this is your standard aerometric style converter. You know, it's a little push converter, rubber sack in there, and then a little metal band that you squeeze to push the air out, and then let it go, and the vacuum sucks the ink up into the nib, up through the breather hole. And this just, I'm sorry, but I know there are people who love this kind of filling mechanism. I am not one of them. We have moved past this. I don't ever want to see one of these ever again. And I get that they're going for cheap with this pen, but this is worthless to me. I have a set of Pilot parallels that I got that came with these, and these were only supposed to be used for cleaning because they won't stay securely on the post inside the Pilot parallels pen. So that's what comes with. You can also use the Con 50 converter with this pen, and the Con 50 converter is it's a little bit more common converter, but my problem with this, there are a couple problems with this one. First, that little metal collar in there. Let me see if I can get it on the screen here. Takes up a fair bit of ink, and I'm not a big fan, or a fair bit of ink space, and I'm not a big fan of that. It also clicks around a lot, which makes me, always makes me worry that something's loose in there, which I'm not a real big fan of. The biggest problem with this one, though, is it holds just a minuscule amount of ink, just a tiny, tiny amount of ink. I don't like this cartridge, this converter at all. And I use this, I've got two other Pilot pens that I use this on. And I'm just not a fan of these converters. My biggest problem, though, and I can show you better with the ink cartridge. So here is an actual ink cartridge, and this is the Pilot Mixables ink cartridge. And for comparison, go to the other camera here. Here is the opening of the standard international converter. Here is the opening, and I'm trying to do this in reverse, so it's not working out too well. of the Pilot converter. You'll notice that the opening to the Pilot converter is much, much larger. So in with the Standard International, most pens have a little post, and this is going to look dirty. I apologize. There's nothing I can do about that. A little post, and you pop the end of the converter onto that post. That breaks through the seal if you're using a cartridge, or kind of clicks into place if you're using a converter. And that's what causes the ink to go down. In a Pilot pen, they tend to have this little slice, this panel, and the larger slice goes down around it like that. I find it to feel not as secure, but the biggest problem is with that wide, because it's got a little tiny opening instead of a wide opening, it builds up a lot of surface tension. And I have had a lot of problems in the past with Pilot converters and Pilot cartridges with the ink getting an air bubble between the nib and the ink. And so here's the pen, and it's not the case in this one, but a lot of times the ink will be up here and there'll be a big air bubble and no ink will be making it to the nib, making it difficult to write. That happens to me almost without fail in the converters. The cartridges is a little less so because they've got a little metal bead inside here that will break up the surface tension. But this is just allow me to put a pox on the house of Pilot pens, and I'll also throw Lamy in there while I'm at it, and Platinum and Sailor or Schaefer, whoever else uses. Don't use proprietary. We have an international standard for a reason. It works well. Just use Standard International and make life easier for everybody, especially when the proprietary cartridge and converter systems you use don't work very well. Okay, rant over. Now on to the stats for the pen. So I've got my ruler here, and it looks like the Pilot Metropolitan sits at 135 when it is capped. And let me turn it over here. We've got 126, looks like, when it is uncapped. And let me post it. We are looking at 153 or 54, somewhere right around there, 153, 54. And let me turn on the scale really quickly. While that's turning on, I will say that this pen does, for me, this is a pen that I will post. And I know in previous videos I've said a lot that I don't like to post my pens. This is one where I don't mind it. It is made of metal, but it's a light metal. It's probably aluminum, I suspect. And putting this pen is, it fits fine in the hand. But putting the cap on it actually makes it feel better to me. You don't get that back weighting problem that I complain about in other videos. Okay, so scale's on. Switch to grams, and we are looking at 24 grams for this pen. All right, so now that I've gone on my harangue about the Pilot Metropolitan and Pilot's cartridges, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a writing sample here. So here we go. This is Pilot Metropolitan. This is a steel nib in medium. And I am using that tremendous aubergine, one of my favorite purple inks. And as is always the case, I am on a Rhodia dot pad. So, little bit of writing here. I think today we'll do, in honor of I think it's 150th anniversary of the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln, we'll do a little quote here. Because watching me write can be dreadfully dull. In general, the pen does write pretty smoothly. I have aligned the tines. They were slightly out of alignment when I got it. It writes pretty wet for an inexpensive pen that is as fine as it is. It doesn't. It has a little bit of give, but not a whole lot. You can see there's a slight bit of line variation, but this is a steel nib. It's not really intended to do that. The upside down writing, It writes pretty well upside down. Uh, Despite it being a finer nib, this is one of the wider upside down writing nibs that I've tested. But I find the pen does give a little bit of feedback. A couple of other things that I'll point out is um, if you are the kind of person who likes to hold your pen down here, you should be fine. If you like to hold it a little further back, this step between the section and the barrel is actually pretty significant. And I tend to hold my pens a little bit further back most of the time. And right now it sits right on my fingers. It's not painful, it's just a little annoying. This section also does tend to be just a little narrow for my tastes down toward the end. So in general, it's a pretty good pen. It's for 20 bucks, it's probably one of the better values you're going to find out there. I'll have another $20 pen in a future video. I'm sure that I'll talk about. It's actually probably closer to $25, but that I'll talk about here where we can pit it up against this. If you're someone who has a smaller hand, it will probably fit you very comfortably, but you're probably not going to get that top of the line butter smooth, flexy, bouncy, springy feel. There's more spring than I would have expected on a pen of this price, but it's still not a flexy pen or a springy pen. So, hope you've enjoyed this video review of the Pilot Metropolitan. If you enjoy my reviews, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel down below or visit our website at penhabit.com. I've started posting some ink reviews over there, and we'll be doing more over the coming weeks and months. I will also have an index of inks by color group and by manufacturer. And I have a PDF that you can download and print on a Rhodia dot pad or any A4 paper if you want to do your own ink testing. I built a template and make a PDF available for you there. So hope to see you here next time on The Pen Habit, and have a good one. We'll see you on the next episode.